Hey guys, Steve Zonardo here with Remax West, Zonardo Associates. Happy Monday morning. Just a real quick update on the market. Current inventory right now, we're 6,536 units, down about 400 since last week, with actual 1,200 selling. So again, even the sale numbers down, but again, inventory is still dwindling down. So what I did is a deep dive, just kind of look at year over year on past sales and also active listings comparable to, let's say, 2020 to 2021. So let's look into this. So November 2020, we know this market, it was starting to steam, but it was very good. If you listed, you sold, and you bought something you liked. And obviously the inventory tells us this too, right? So active listings in November 2020 was 13,798 units with 8,727 selling. So that's very important, that ratio, because a lot more inventory was coming onto the market, which gave buyers the sellers that became buyers better options to get something that they like. And this was a good ratio. Even last year sales were happening, like average sales I think was like 19 days, but between, like, if the property was priced right, 7 to 10 days you were off the market and your sellers were out looking for properties, which was awesome. Fast forward to November 2021. New listings coming to the market, 10,035 units in November of 2021, with 9,016 actually selling. So look at that ratio. Basically, whatever came to the market sold. There's only a few properties that, probably stayed on the market and sold the month after, or they got listed maybe at the month end, and then they got rolled over into the next month, with average days of on market with 13 days. And we know the only reason why there's days on market is because of people holding back offers with no preemptive or bullies, which obviously puts more timestamp onto each listing. So this could be 1 day rather than the 19 that we saw last year. Going forward, we'll see what happens. I think now in December, where it's even further. I mean, going into the end of this month, it's going to go further. We should probably toggle down into another 1,000 less units, probably about 55 units going into Jan. Let's see what happens. On another note, last week I was talking about affordable housing, how the City Council of Toronto passed a bill where every builder building near transit has to allocate 8 to 10% of their units to affordable housing. I stand corrected. So that is true. It did get approved, but the reason behind it's actually tree huggers are not going to really like this, but what they're doing is, let's say if there's a pocket of like a neighborhood pocket that has rental properties that are affordable to long-term tenants. The only way to get them out of there is basically, especially if you bought the land, you can't really kick them out of there. What they're doing is they're creating this I don't know if it's a gimmick or whatever it is, but they're basically going to sell back these units to these tenants that are currently in these properties. So what they do is they tear down these neighborhoods, build up, regentrify the area naturally, and then allocate 8 to 10% of these units back to the people that were rented in these buildings or whatever they are, townhouse and stuff like that. And then it's supposed to be a lease-to-own program through the government. I haven't done much research on this. I just heard this over the weekend, so I'm just going to do a deep dive. So if that's the case, that makes more sense why the builders are not in an uproar, because what they'll do is areas that they own and they can't reconvert because they can't kick out the tenants that have been there for long term. Well, now there's a bill passed where as long as they can reoffer a product to the tenants, maybe they'll put them up in a hotel temporarily for a year or two, and then away you go. So yeah, interesting. I'm going to do a little bit more research to kind of understand that better. But that's pretty much it, guys. Have an amazing day. If you have any questions, always reach out. Ciao. Talking about last week's Mondays with Steve, I kind of talked about the City Council of Toronto passed a bill where every new builder or every developer building a building near a transit has to allocate 8 to 10% towards affordable housing. And it was a little bit of an uproar because obviously it's going to cause a shortage in the market, in inventory naturally, and it'll raise the price of the other units, because if the builder has to do this, he'll obviously divert those expenses to all the unit holders in the building. But I stand corrected. It's actually, it goes down even further deeper. So basically what's happening is these developers more than likely own land on properties that are already rented out to long-term tenants that they can't kick out because the Landlord-Tenant Board Act. So what they do is they've passed the new bills where, as long as I don't know, I got to look into this a little bit further deeper, but ultimately if now the builder is going to regentrify the area, so tear down their old buildings, but give them, so the people that are renting these buildings now have an opportunity to buy back into these buildings at a reduced rate. And I believe it's a lease to own through the government. I got to do more research into this for sure, but it's something along those lines. So it's actually a clever way for the builder to kind of tear down old buildings and reinvent neighborhoods. positive in a way to re-gentrify areas to make them, more valuable. Negative, naturally, because you're kicking out long-term tenants that were in affordable housing. And fast forward, obviously there's going to be a huge amount of qualifications that they'll have to pass to even buy one of these affordable units. So it's a good way politically to kick people out of their houses and move them to some other neighborhood. So yeah, I'll do a little bit more research on this to kind of get an idea of what exactly is happening. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, always reach out, and have an amazing week. We'll talk soon. Ciao.